No, I've been making things for a long time. And in my experience, an overwhelming majority of those things I've given away. Not because I don't like it. Oftentimes I really like the thing that I've given away. But because I love the feeling of having made something from my hands and then finding the perfect person to receive that thing. Hello, my friends. My name is Spencer, and I love stories. Today, I'm going to be making a vase and carving it with motifs of my favorite Jataka tale. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Jataka are tales of the Buddha's past lives before the Buddha became known as the Buddha, before they attained their nirvana, their enlightenment. And we use these tales that are all attributed to the Buddha to understand what kind of person it takes to become someone who has completely shed their ego, their identity, is completely detached and enlightened. So this tale has many different versions, and I'm going to tell you my favorite one. And if you want to, if you're curious, you can always look these up. They are definitely open source for everyone to see. They're quite old. And see which one you prefer. But this is a tale of a very sagely rabbit who had many friends. So one day, long time ago, Indra, the lord of Devas, the king of the gods, if you will, in the Hindu world, and subsequently the Buddhist world, went in disguise as a Brahmin, as a sage who was wandering on the road, and he looked like a normal man. There were 4 animals who were very close, very dear friends. There was a jackal, a monkey, an otter, and a rabbit. And they all were very kind to wandering rishi, wandering sages on the road. And they always wanted to help when they could. And one day, they see this man who looks haggard. The road has been unkind to him. And as they see him approaching, they all say to one another, let's do what we can to help him, to ease his burden of his travel. And so the monkey gathers some fruit and presents it to him. The jackal gets some curds and catches a lizard, brings some firewood to help him stay warm in the cold. And the otter gathers kindling and catches some fish for him. And after they all do this, they all turn to this rabbit and they ask, what are you going to do? And the rabbit is too small to carry firewood. He's not a hunter, so he's not going to catch a lesser animal, kill it, and present it. So what can he do? And in that moment, without hesitation, the rabbit leaps into the roaring fire, sacrificing himself to become the meal for this disguised sage. This sacrifice shocks their friends, and they all weep with how selfless it was. That rabbit, it is understood, was Lord Buddha. And the other animals, it is understood, are great sagely figures in the early Buddhist world. That the otter was Ananda, the Buddha's cousin, who is the one responsible for recording sutras. That Maudgalyayana was the jackal, one of the Buddha's closest disciples, as well as Shariputra, the monkey. In a different version of this story, the rabbit does not burn because Indra doesn't allow it, and instead immortalizes him in the moon, which is where we get a rabbit leaping in the moon metaphor that we also see in other lore. The most prominent, maybe mainstream one being in China with Chang'e and Houyi during the Mid-Autumn Festival. So on this vase, I'm carving all of these animals and the sage. And I'm also going to carve this word, giving, as a reminder for those who know the story to not forget to give even yourself to everything you care about. Every piece that I make, I feel, is a part of me. But it's not a part of me that leaves me when I've made the thing, when I've made the object. Just like fire can light another fire, so too, with giving, especially things with wisdom, there are some things we could give more than once. And nothing is exhausted from our origins, from what we start with. As a candle can light another candle, nothing is less from the first candle, but now there's more light. So too with stories. Once you've heard a story, it might stick with you for a long time, and then one day come in handy at a specific juncture of your life. And stories with them carry truth that perhaps records of history, let's say, fall short, in that we're able to hear a story. A story doesn't come with the same trappings as a critique on something, as a critique on you. For example, if someone says, you are selfish because of this, the likelihood of you hearing that and internalizing it truly is clouded by your own egoism and your own taking offense to something that you are offended by. And so before you take that feedback on you, you will likely first put up many walls to argue why that criticism, that discernment, is incorrect. Whereas if I told you a story of a person who was very selfish, and then this thing happened to them, and they learned this way, and they were all the better because of that change, that a person is capable of hearing. And perhaps even bettering themselves in the process. So I hope you've enjoyed this story. And I hope this story is a reminder to you that even when you don't have anything, there are ways to contribute. There are still ways to be giving, no matter what the situation. Of course, if you'd like to see another specific carving of a specific story, I'm all ears, and I'll think of it next time I get inspired. Have a wonderful day, everyone.